kids, right? Well, most of it in the beginning.
All the avoided kids love it.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is he wasn't interested in puppets. He was a young, creative guy in Mississippi, then moved closer to Washington, and he loved television. And he just wanted to find a way to get on television. We had these hilarious interviews that Orson Welles did, of all people, and out of it you learn that he never even played with puppets as a kid, but that was a way in to the local television station. He took it, created his own puppets, and he was a very introverted guy, and I think he became an extrovert when he.
At Walmart, so you can boost nitric oxide, support blood pressure, and improve heart health. Rush to Walmart and find Total Beats.
I'm on the Big Island and broke them out. I just had some fantastic garlic chicken bukkake cooked up by Chef Rob McGinnis, who's putting his mark on this island menu. Great oxtail coming right up.
Puts a lot of flavor into his food, which makes it his own style.
I asked Chef, I said, what's the next dish going to be? He says, it's a Filipino, Hawaiian, American concept with his own twist. What's the dish called?
Braised short ribs and garlic shrimp.
Short ribs are absolutely great. It's got kind of caramelization to it. It's really a sweet flavor.
All-time favorite, garlic shrimp. I don't know how they keep the center so moist. But I also have like this little crispy shell.
Let me see it happen, buddy. What do you got?
These short ribs, we're gonna cut it. In Hawaii, we leave the fat off.
Okay, so from here, where do we go?
You go straight on the fat top and sear it off.
Next step.
The braising liquid, got it. Gonna heat the pan up. Soy sauce in there. Brown sugar and water.
Garlic.
Chopped up white onion. Black pepper.
Black pepper. You whisk this up.
Put the short ribs right inside. For flour.
So that's just going to absorb all that flavor.
Melt in your mouth.
Melt in your mouth. Short ribs are working. What's up next?
Homemade garlic aioli for the shrimp. So whole eggs.
And yolks. I like both.
Okay. Garlic. Sweet chili.
See a theme here.
Lemon juice. Probably salt. Black pepper. We're gonna blend it all together.
Hit it with the oil.
The Bouncer.
And for Grandma Cockroach, you like pork ribs. That's the game right there. And that soy sauce, sugar, garlic goes all the way through that. Well, what's up with the potatoes?
More spicy sweet potato.
Purple sweet potato.
Yes, sir.
We're right on that one.
Our top story. Mikado, the company heading the International Space Project, announced the launch of an additional solar power generator satellite. The announcement comes as a surprise to many. So what exactly is a solar power generator satellite? Well, we've prepared some diagrams, so let's take a look. First, an Earth-based station transmits a guidance signal. Upon receiving the signal, the satellite uses a large mirror to generate electricity from solar power. The electricity is then converted to microwave radiation.
Get back, Dominique! Ha! You ready?
USA Soccer is Volkswagen is sponsored.
15 goals, 10 assists for Blizzard with 18 alone. Look, when this guy came onto the US team, there were incredibly high, but still are.
Thank you. Yeah, one of these. I have to go to Lowe's and get the thing to put on the grill with me.
I've never seen a deal like that before.
I think mom vacuums like we do.
Now you can took it all outside and shook it out before I washed it.
Team USA Soccer, guess who the big sponsor is? Volkswagen. Well, I'm sure there's probably a Volkswagen America division, US. Still, it's just weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that next time that's gonna have to go with all of that.
That's fine.
Hey, honey.
Is that too noisy for you there, Paul?
That's my little dropping the dish brush was disturbing his sensitive ears. So we have to leave here, what, at 5:30, 6:30, 6:45?
6:45.
Whoever goes over to your mom's next, all the clean stuff is laying on the kennel out in the garage.
All right.
Hey everybody, this is Russ from Metro Game Core. This thing just arrived in the mail today. It's the Anbernic RG35XX SP. Now today we'll do an impressions video, so I'm going to talk about how it looks and how it feels, you know, the buttons, the ergonomics, things like that. Then give me a few days and I can do some more testing and we will then do a final review. Now this device is a clamshell form factor, which is unique for Anbernic and the first one they've ever done, but it's got the same internals and everything as other devices they've released, including like the horizontal version, the RG35XXH, which personally is my favorite among this line. But then we also have a vertical version, just the standard RG35XX Plus, and then we have the mini version, the RG28XX. Yeah, these names are just crazy. Now I think there's a lot of excitement for this device. I'm excited about it, and you might be too, and I think it has to do with the Game Boy Advance SP, which this thing basically looks like a copy of. And so I think a lot of people are trying to, you know, have that nostalgic feel again, but with a device that will be able to play all the way up to like Dreamcast and Nintendo 64. So it's really interesting to have something so powerful in this really beloved clamshell form factor. Anyway, we'll take a look at all that stuff in this video, and I just want to dive into it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start with the specs, and like I mentioned, these are not going to be very surprising. We've now seen the all-winner H700 in about 3 or 4 different Anbernic devices with the same internal GPU and 1GB of RAM. The display is also the same, it's 3.5 inches with a 480p resolution, and it's an IPS LCD. They're also using the same size batteries, 3300 milliamp hours, and they say it's going to get, you know, somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of gameplay depending on what you're playing. But of note, it is a little bit on the heavy side just because there's so much plastic in a clamshell, so it's a little bit under 200 grams or 7 ounces. As far as connectivity and other features, it's got all the things you would expect, so 5 GHz Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.2, as well as a mini HDMI out port, a headphone jack, and a rumble motor. Now let's move on to the unboxing. So we have 4 different color types. We have 2 that are going to be solid, that's silver and DMG gray, and then we also have 2 transparent models, both blue and black. Other than that, the box seems to be very typical Anbernic, so mostly white with the design on the front. Inside, we'll get a quick start manual that'll mostly talk about the different button functions, and then we will also get a screen protector and then a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Let's go ahead and take a look at the device itself, and man, this thing looks so much like a Game Boy Advance SP. I'm really glad they sent over this silver model because it's a new color for them and I think it looks really good. Now, first impression is that this thing is surprisingly large and thick compared to a regular Game Boy Advance SP. We'll do some size comparisons later in the video, but yeah, that was the first thing that struck me, is that man, this thing's a little bit beefy. Let's go ahead and start with the I/O around the device, starting with the bottom. Here we've got a headphone jack on the left and then 2 microSD card slots, one for the operating system and one for additional games. On the right side we have our power and reset buttons as well as 2 LED indicators. If we plug in the device to charge, you'll see an orange light on the left and then a green light when it's powered on the right. Let's take a look up top. So we have our shoulder and trigger buttons all in a line, and then also our USB and HDMI ports. The USB port will be used for both charging as well as accessories. Now, as far as the shoulder and trigger buttons go, if you look at them dead on, you can see that the trigger buttons are actually a little bit more elevated than the shoulder buttons. And this does make them pretty easy to find with your fingers. Of note, these buttons have a micro switch connection, which means they are pretty clicky. Let me give you a sound test right here. And so yeah, that's pretty loud. Let's compare it against my aftermarket Game Boy Advance SP. Of note, the shoulder and trigger buttons are pretty loose. If we shake it, you can hear a rattle. And again, that's something that's not really present in the Game Boy Advance SP.